Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back from the ad break. You are still watching Prime Life. Now, we will be having a fantastic interview with a Gundula Deutschländer, and we will be speaking about Garden Day 2025 that's happening on the 12th of October. Now, she will be telling us about the occasion that is dedicated to the art and the joy of gardening. On this day, green-thumbed enthusiasts from across the country come together to honor their passion for nature, share their gardening stories, and also relax in the beauty of their green spaces. Thank you so much for joining us, Gundula. Thank you so much for being on Prime Life, and you're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You are welcome. Can you please tell us about what Garden Day is and how people can take part?
It's a very simple concept. It's all over the whole country. It's a national event that happens this Sunday. And it's all about allowing everybody who has a green space or appreciates greenness around them to take part of it, to share it with their family and friends. So for me, example, I love gardening. I work really hard at it, as professionally as well as for my pleasure. But Garden Day itself is not about getting dirty. It's not about digging and planting plants or weeding. It's about actually sharing the joy that you've had in your garden with your friends and family. So the idea is to have a picnic or a braai or a tea party or whatever will actually bring people outside. If people actually don't have much of a garden space and they maybe have a balcony or even pot plants on the windowsill, like they might be plant parents, then that's also the opportunity this Sunday to invite your friends over and to maybe share cuttings or just speak plants, because plants make such a difference in our world and we want people to appreciate that.
Mm. Most definitely, I can definitely see that you definitely love plants. I mean, I love what you have on. Is it a hat? What is it?
No, this is my flower crown,
Oh,
which
oh.
is the symbol for Garden Day. So it's just to really celebrate and have something that's symbolic, because this year is our 10th anniversary of Garden Day. So we have a lot to really appreciate. And it's almost the idea that you can be like the goddess of your own garden, or
Mm-hmm.
let's say the champion, like Olympics in the olden days, Olympic winners would actually wear a laurel or a rosemary wreath. So we're having this concept of you being your own champion of your own backyard
Mm.
and celebrating it. So the flower crown is just a way to share the joy, really.
Mm, most definitely, it definitely looks very, I don't even know what's the right word. It's giving spring, it's giving, joyful, blissful, all of the good things and colorful. Can you tell us how long have you been gardening for?
I want to say all my life, because I think I inherited gardening through my parents. Um, I think my earliest memories go back to walking in parks and finding little birds that had dropped on the trees and nurturing them. I think I was probably 3 when I can have a memory of being under trees. And I think being close to my parents, I would just get my hands dirty. I mean, you know what children are like. You were like always playing around and hide and seek and climbing trees. So, but it's definitely, once it's lodged in your heart, there's just no way that you can stop. It's very infectious. I
Mm,
often still now I will garden until the sun sets, and it just brings so much joy.
mm. I mean, we understand by now that Garden Day is about celebrating your garden, but beyond the joy of tending plants, what other benefits do you believe gardening can have on one's mental health? Physically, spiritually. What are the benefits of gardening?
More and more, I can see it's the mental health and the spiritual well-being that really comes to the fore. We know it's good exercise. You get your vitamin D. Um, yeah, if you don't do it well, you might get a little bit of backache. But the emotional benefits, I think, particularly post-COVID, has really meant a lot to people. I find it's remarkable how the gardening community has been knitting together. I mean, I happen to work in a wonderful garden that's open to the public. So we have volunteers assisting. We have a lot of students that come and join us there. So it's a very lively community. And beyond the human connection, um, well, actually, part of the human connection, I just want to share that with you,
Mm,
is being able to talk plants with people of different cultures. I really appreciate that. I
mm,
think in South Africa, I can very easily connect with all the different cultures we have just because we have an interest in often indigenous plants. And then when I have foreign people walking past, well, let's take for example, if there's ever somebody from Natal coming to my garden, I speak Tulsi to them. So I speak about the holy basil because it just means so much to the Indian culture. And yet it's a plant that I can grow in my backyard too. And it just has so much benefit. To open the heart is one of the benefits. But I can speak to people down the road, Wildals, the Artemisia, and there's all these wonderful connections. When I drive an Uber, sometimes I half the time speak plants with the people who drive the Uber. So there's this wonderful human connection that we always have through plants,
mm,
no matter where they come from. And I really thrive on that because um, I think many gardens are not particularly sociable, but and we like to hide in our garden space. But when you have this connection with something that's so universal, it just makes us human. And I think more and more as I reflect back to these last 10 years of having Garden Day, it's about how more we become human and appreciative of our own efforts with the challenges we have facing us in this world. That's part of the Garden Day celebration is to saying, yes, we're a team and we can really make a difference. In a small way, we make a universal difference that has an impact on the whole planet. And I really strongly believe that.
mm. Most definitely. And just like you mentioned Garden Day itself, what or could you describe some of the most creative or memorable Garden Day events that you've seen all over the years that you've hosted it?
I find it really fun how people have been including their pets. Like people will make flower crowns for their cats and even
Mm,
their rabbits and horses.
mm,
And that's also part of it. Half the time we are planting for the animal world, the animal kingdom. It might be your pets, but I definitely, well, I live here on the mountainside. So I have wildlife coming to visit the garden because we don't have much water available here. So if I irrigate my plants, they flourish, and the nectar brings bees and various insects, butterflies, um, birds. Sunbirds are all over my garden when the sun shines.
mm,
So those connections we have with things that are beyond us, and that really makes life worth living, really.
mm,
um, I think Garden Day accentuates that. It highlights it for people who might not have that access. And so that's why the point is if you're a gardener and you can share it with your friends and family, maybe haven't had that ability to engage with the green space near them,
mm.
this is your chance to share that joy.
Mm. I like that you mentioned that you're in the mountains somewhere and around nature, which has us wondering where exactly are you? Because like right now, I know that in Joburg it's extremely dark, but I can see that it's very light where you are. Can you tell us exactly where you're having this interview from?
I live in the Western Cape, so I'm in Wellington, but I'm up against the mountain.
Mm,
The sun has just set, so the golden glow on the mountain just
mm,
passed, and I'm delighted that there's enough light. But when the sun sets, what's joyous, I have fireflies that come in my garden.
mm-hmm,
So this evening, because the wind is still, I'll have like this disco going off of little fireflies all over the garden, which just shows me that it's such a clean, natural space. One
mm,
doesn't see that everywhere. And
mm.
I really appreciate being here. It's such a blessing.
Most definitely. I mean, we hardly see fireflies here in Joburg. I don't know. I've never seen a firefly here at all. So you're very lucky, to be amongst nature, with plants, animals. Even the air is different, wherever there is nature. Now, not everybody has access to a garden, or even like a plant in their homes. Can they still attend Garden Day?
Oh, sure. So if you're in Joburg, there's Victoria Yard is near you, and they're hosting wonderful show, open day so that people can enjoy, and probably making flower crowns, and I have little stalls there. So definitely that's a good place to go if you're in Johannesburg. Otherwise, please go to your nearest park. Just throw out the picnic blankets, lie down, look at the trees, bring some herbal teas along. Just it doesn't have to be complicated. That's the pleasure of it. It's about becoming rooted
Mm,
and knowing your place within our bigger universe.
mm,
It's as simple as that, but it's such the strength is in a simple message.
mm. Most definitely. And you know what? I'm going to take a moment to ask you for advice because I just recently became a plant mom, right? And someone gifted me with an orchard. So now I want your advice on like how I can ensure to make sure that my plant stays healthy and is also thriving.
Orchids are like the most difficult plants to take care of. I have
Is
to warn
it?
you. They are so beautiful. So whichever plant it is, you have to try and think, where does it come from? And you need to replicate similar environments. So
Mm,
orchids come from the jungle. So you have to think in your house which room has high humidity and
mm,
dappled light. And most generally, it will be your bathroom.
mm,
And if you have that lovely showery, steamy shower and all that. But if there's not much light in your bathroom, then you need to just have a little spray can that you can spritz it now and again. And probably after flowering, it will need a little bit of feeding just to regain its strength again so that next year it'll flower again. But
mm,
let's say you were given succulent, you'd have to think, succulents like living in dry, hot conditions. So
mm,
you'd much rather choose a windowsill. And I find morning facing windowsills are the kindest and best places for many plants to thrive in.
mm,
So please don't give up, just keep on trying.
mm.
And I'm sure you have a beautiful voice. So if you can sing your songs to the plant or in the vicinity, they will definitely respond.
Oh, okay. I'll definitely try that because some people were saying, no, you should try also speaking to it, speak to plants. So I'll try to sing also. I hope my neighbors don't wonder what's happening. But in terms of like people that want to start, for example, having a plant and they're intimidated by the whole gardening thing and they don't know where to start, which plant would you recommend as a starter? Something that isn't hectic to raise. I'm saying raise because I refer to them as like babies, like I'm a plant mom. So if you get a plant, you need to raise the plant. So which plant would you
Yeah.
recommend as a firstborn? I would say.
Yeah. If one really just has a internal space, even if it's your office space,
Mhm.
the mother-in-law's tongue, Sansevieria, it's an indigenous plant, is really easy. And why I like it, it actually cleans the air. So it has a double benefit of purifying your air. It does look a little bit spiky. I mean, the name just says it's all, but it's a lovely plant, mostly from Eastern Cape, and it actually grows in the dry shade of a forest. So that's why it doesn't mind being indoors in your office forest, for
Mm.
example.
Mm.
And it needs very little attention. So just a little bit of stroking to get rid of the dust every now and again will do.
Mm.
And probably watering once a week or maybe even every second week. That's very little. um, if you find that's a little bit dull and you'd rather want to eat your plant, I love rosemary. I just think rosemary is amazing. So select a herb. Um, I think particularly a perennial herb. Like if you chose dania or coriander, it's gonna go so fast. You're just gonna eat it up within one lunch. So choose something that maybe has more longevity, and if you can plant it in a pot and either put it on your windowsill or maybe one of your entrances that you walk past quite often with some sufficient sunlight. Let's say at least half a day to a full day of sunlight. Rosemary is really resilient, and watering it now in summer, well, you get some rainfall up there. So let's say once a week should be more than sufficient. And I find rosemary just crushing the leaves and inhaling is just so invigorating. It really lifts the spirit and really helps with focus. So choose a herb that smells good and that you either want to eat or put in a tea. And I think with having that dual purpose, you'll have a relationship with it that will, really impress the parent in you, to bring it
Mm.
out.
Mm. Most definitely. I think that's a good way of looking at it because then, like you mentioned, something that you will be utilizing either in your tea or cooking, it will create a good relationship between you and the plant. Now, in closing, how do you envision the future of the Garden Day movement?
Wow. Well, I love how we've really been riding this wave. Now it's getting bigger and bigger, so we're gaining momentum.
Mm.
I love how it's drawn in so many more communities. Like when we started off, it was much more about your own individual garden, but it's really spread out towards suburbs and townships, but in with communities and um, urban farms as well, where people are really gaining knowledge of how to um, really improve their lives, but also feed themselves with good food. So food security helps a lot. I think we really need a lot of positive messages in our world, and gardening really ticks off so many of those boxes to allow for well-being and better health. And I think the people wanted to really use plants for medicine, not only as a tea, for example, but something that's kinder to the body and also really lifts the spirit. It I think when one hasn't had access to it, it's difficult to imagine. But once one knows how to tap into it, it just brings enormous benefit and reassurance. So I think that's the healing properties of plants and gardens is really the future for this garden day.
Mm. I mean, Gundula, thank you so much for joining us on Prime Life. It was definitely a great chat, and I enjoyed, learning about plants and also just learning about the Garden Day that's happening on the 12th of October. So thank you for your time.
I hope you have chance on Sunday. Put a flower behind your ear if you don't make a crown. But thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye, Gundula. Viewers at home, this was a fantastic interview that I just had with Gundula, and we were talking about, Garden Day that's going to be happening on the 12th of October. So if you are keen, make sure that you do join in, onto this beautiful day that celebrates plants and people that are plant moms and love gardening and all the good stuff around gardening. But on that note, let's go to a quick break. We'll see you right after this.